up in the morning cause life's a dream. First thing I need is my Dermanine. First thing I need is my Dermanine. Okay. Can't leave the house without my little treat. Dance a little jig before I hit the streets. Throw on my fit and I cannot lose. Saffron oil and I feel brand new. Saffron oil and I feel brand new. Conquer the world cause I'm beautiful. I do no wrong cause I'm beautiful. And life is a song cause it's beautiful. And I'm dancing along cause I'm beautiful, yeah. The Maniche is the best in nature.
Hello and welcome to the 9th Annual Mosaic International South Asian Film Festival presented by the Canadian Community Arts Initiative, CCAI. My name is Arshad Khan and I'm the festival director. Misaff is taking place this year online from 1 to 5 December, as well as in person on the 2nd of December at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. We would like to begin by thanking our sponsors, Canadian Heritage, the Canada Council for the Arts, the Province of Ontario, the City of Mississauga, the Culture Division of Mississauga, Telefilm Canada, the Ontario Arts Council, ACTRA Toronto, ACTRA Diversity, Karai Boys Restaurant, and the Toronto International Film Festival. We are delighted today to be in conversation with excellent filmmakers, Apurva Bakshi, producer, and Ajitesh Sharma, director of the incredible documentary film, Womb. Welcome, Apurva. Welcome, Ajitesh.
Thank you, Arshad. Thank you so much.
So thank you for bringing your film to us and entrusting us with this very, very important film, which our audiences, of course, can watch from the 1st to the 5th of December online. I want to start with you, Ajitesh. I want to know what compelled you to make this film and how the whole idea came about of putting this together. And I also understand this is your first feature.
Yes, it is my debut feature-length film as a director. I have always believed in the movement of equality, and I was privileged enough to have that kind of upbringing. But in the later years, when I moved out of my house, I also realized that there are not a lot of people who have not the kind of upbringing that I had, and there is a lot of patriarchy, misogyny, and violence against women around us. And that's how I came across Srishti's movement in Delhi when I was shooting with Apurva on a different project. And Srishti was on her journey already, and she was crossing Delhi when I met her. And the movement, she left for Kashmir, and the movement stayed with me. And yeah, I mean, that's how then I kept talking to Apurva about the movement. I wanted to know more about the movement and what Crossbow Miles and Srishti is up to. And when Srishti reached Kashmir, I said, Apurva, I really believe, like I told Apurva that I believe in the idea of cinema, as in terms of that cinema has a power of bringing change culturally in society. And it can definitely help amplify the movement. And that's how Apurva, like she's the best producer right now we have in the country. So she believed in me, and Srishti and Apurva together, they gave me 1,000 hours of footage shot over 230 days of her walk. And that's how I sat down with my editor and we just made this film.
That is a beautiful start to your journey. Now we know Apurva Bakshi she's absolutely dandy. She's fabulous. She has the best fashion sense. But we also know that she is an amazing and powerful voice. And she is an enabler and she's a great producer with excellent relationships throughout the world. And she's unafraid. We're very delighted, actually, Apurva, that you took the time to meet with us and brought your film to Misaff. Tell us a little bit about how you connected with this project.
So spoiler alert, but Shrishti is actually my younger sister. She's my baby sister. So, so when she started the walk in September of 2017, I was actually shooting for Delhi Crime. And Ajitesh was a part of that team with Richie, who was also very well known in Canada. We were almost on similar journeys, trying to figure what to make of the violence that was being perpetuated, against women. We both are military kids. Our dad served the army, so our relationship with the country and its people has been very patriotic, has been full of love, and finding safe spaces. But the armchair activism had to turn into something real for her is when she called me and said that she wanted to do this unbelievable task of walking from one length of the country to the other. And at that point in time, I really just asked her why, right? Like that was the biggest question that everybody asked, as to why did she want to walk. And um and the two reasons that she really said was that I'm very frustrated, so I do want to go for a long walk, but also not miss out on every inch that that needs to be studied and that needs to be really understood as to why does this happen, and why is patriarchy so deeply entrenched, and is there a scope for the country to repair, or is it just beyond repair? So she literally packed her bags, left her job, and moved to India. And that's how our journey as a family began. Um, Ajitesh was it was very intriguing that, a first-time filmmaker, he was obviously assisting Richie on Delhi Crime, but it was very interesting how there were other directors, a lot of female directors who were in contention as well, but the design that he put together really, blew me away in terms of identifying key storytellers and then weaving the walk seamlessly to make it sort of a representation of the right movement. It is a film not about Shrishti, it is actually about the women of our billion, and she's one of them. So that's how it really then, it started shining at us. The design started shining at us, and then that's how the whole crew came together. So, yeah.
Well, that seems to make a lot of sense to me because, we have a very women-centric film directed by a man because of, and also discussing gender in a very heteropatriarchal society. And I think that's very reflective of the work that men need to do because, of course, violence against women is a men's issue. And I think that it's the right thing to do, that, when men amplify women's voices and, bring to the fore these very essential and important issues that everyone needs to be informed of and made aware of. I want to know how the editing process went, because sometimes when you're so close to the subject, when you're so close, how did you edit this film, Ajitesh? Did you have any conflict with your producer because she's so close to the subject? Controversial question.
Yes, so the edit was very challenging because Srishti was working with a crew of camera persons, and the idea was to document women that she was meeting and interview them for their internal research purposes. So when I got the footage after she finished the walk, there was no design or there was no grammar to the footage. In terms of, there was no direction to the footage that was captured. So for me, that was the most challenging part because I had to literally sit down, go through 1,000 hours of footage and think or imagine of a design. So it took a lot of time. It took some 3 or 4 months for me just to watch. So I used to wake up and start watching the footage, have coffee, think, sleep, and do the same next day. So I had no idea where to begin from because my process is to find the beginning first and then I think of anything else. But I was struggling the most with the beginning. So this was the first time when I broke this rule. I started from the midpoint, which was central India, and I said, let's look for the midpoint. Let's go directly jump into the film. the story. And that's how my editor Kirsch and I edited the midpoint first, which gave a lot of idea to me in terms of how we should edit the film, how should we have the grammar. And then I spoke to Apurva, and we had some 300 plus interviews of women. And then I started writing a script. I thought that the walk will only make sense if we intercut it with stories of women and their survival. Because the walk is about that. The walk is about Srishti's encounter with these women. And that's how we shortlisted three protagonists. So Sangeeta, Neha, and Pragya. And these three protagonists, they sort of represent their own spectrum. Pragya represents acid attack survivor. Sangeeta represents widowhood and how she was able to come out of a toxic relationship. And Neha represents a marital rape and violence by in-laws. And they sort of represent their own spectrum. And then that's how we did a 10 days of shoot with these three women. And yeah, that's how the whole film came together and we edited. We intercut stories of these three women with Srishti's work.
And what about these women? Have they seen, any of them been able to see the film yet? Did you actually discuss the film with the subjects? They're excellent subjects, by the way. They're very strong people and very inspiring.
Yes, they have. I'm not sure if they have seen the last version, but they have surely been in touch with Srishti and myself and Apurva. So they have been there with us through the process. Apurva.
Yeah, so actually, I haven't seen the full film because I'm hoping to take it to India on a big screen. But yes, they have been a part of the journey during the walk as well. As you might have observed them, they joined the journey on the walk. And then we've been closely working with all three in their own, whatever they are pursuing in their own world. So Dr. Sangeeta is now retired, and she's a big COVID relief, worker right now. Pragya is running Ati Jeevan, and they are more at risk during the pandemic. The survivors and thrivers there. So we've been continuously working with them. Other than that, they're just extraordinary human beings, as you rightly said. So they're a big part of our lives. The biggest conflict I feel like I want to answer that question of yours would be that the constant discussion of removing our own bias from presenting it. And I think those are the only times that we were loggerheads, between me and Ajitesh, for sure. And there were quite a few moments where there was a lot of insistence on making sure that our executive producer team, Monisha Tyagarajan and Juliet Blake, they used to come in to be able to remove that bias, because we would question that constantly. And question it till the time all of us were very clear, okay, this particular moment or this particular scene now is not laden with any kind of politics and any kind of bias that we bring from our own morphic circles and understanding of what, violence is or how it's perpetuated, and what gender, imbalance looks like. So that is the only struggle, I think, it's actually a very interesting exercise for me. And I don't know how Ajitesh braved through it, but he did with all the women around him. He and Karsh really braved through the whole process. So it was very revelatory for even us as women, right? Like the fact that from our childhood we experience bias at home, and even our home, right? My mom, she went on record and talked at a workshop that even though she was Shrishti's mother, she had said things and done things without understanding how deeply entrenched, how it would perpetuate patriarchy and those thought and notions that don't treat the girl child as an equal child. So yeah, that's how the design and those were the biases that came through in the edit structure. Yeah.
Well, the thing is that, we come from a very patriarchal, as I said, patriarchal, heteropatriarchal,
Yeah.
uh, colonized culture. And we have been systemically uh, taught gender roles. And as you very well, beautifully highlight, the conformity of gender and how male privilege uh, reduces women and their agency. So working to to fight that, we have to use what advertisers kind of use. You have to keep pushing this education and keep educating and re-educating, keep giving the message. So I think your film is extremely important because it needs to be seen and it needs to be watched and it needs to be shared and it needs to be discussed, all over, not just India, but also Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan especially, and Iran and all these countries, the global south, where really women are the second sex in absolutely. Um, what I want to know is how do you think the film is going to be received in the West, and how do you think it's going to be received at home? And are you making attempts for it to be seen, globally?
Yes, I'm definitely making attempts for it to be seen globally. But we've had tremendous response this side of the world. In the West, it's been um, eye-opening to start with. A lot of people just assume, the state of affairs. Also, very empowering conversations imbued through. We had a slew of, one after the other screenings all of October, and were very privileged to sit down with a theater audience in person to have those conversations. And I think the first reaction is very like everybody's pretty blown away with just the seriousness with which the film approaches these subjects, but also walk away with a lot of hope. Having said that, the biggest questions were, what can we do, right, this side of the world, as to what is it that we can do now? And of course, Srishti is already embarked on this incredible another second journey of hers. So everybody just is now supporting that mission of training young girls and women into learning how to drive and become licensed drivers, and then becoming caregivers or Uber drivers and delivery agents, so that when there are more women on the road, the roads will become safer. And they're all connected on a grid network. So it's called MOBO, Moving Women. So it's a beautiful, evolution of how she converted her findings into a movement. But um, I think in India, the gravity of the situation really hits home. Um, I think people are very desensitized because the news really tells you constantly that there's something or the other happening. But when you see a weave like this, or the reactions that I've got with the very previous screenings, like just for individuals that I have, I've shared the links with, it's just it puts them in a pause. They don't want to talk for a day, and then they'll call, and then they'll be like, it's just blown them away in a different way, that they know about what's happening. It's probably happening to people in their family, it's happening around them to their friends, but when it's weaved in this way, it starts to make you question things. And that is what I think was our intention, right? How do you really tap into and nudge a desensitized society, saying, what are we doing about this? And so that's the difference in the reaction that I get between.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, and also, it's actually, I keep saying that, and I keep telling it to people also. I have made this film for men. This is not for women. It's a film on women, but it's for men, because what happened to me after meeting Srishti and after meeting Pragya, Sangeeta, Neha, was I started acknowledging and I started addressing violence around me. And it doesn't have to be only physical violence. There is mental violence, there is patriarchy all around us, back home, in Bombay, everywhere. And the least you can do is address it. And that's where you start. So,
Acknowledge it as well. Yeah, it's just one more thing that I experienced in the West was that this is not just an India story. This is this is happening across races, across different parts of the world, and everybody who came out of the screening could identify one or two people in their lives who had been affected by a similar tragedy, or or some sort of variance of violence that they're suffering. So it was universal, which is very sad, actually. That is something that was hurtful to know, that it was worldwide. It was literally like a pandemic, which was happening worldwide. And the second thing is, like Ajitesh said, this film was for men. I've had this amazing effort from all our champions to say first the men need to watch it and then the women, because it's really about acknowledging that it happens. It's so rampant that it's second nature to us, even
yeah,
women.
Very well said. And I think this has to be established, what you just addressed, the fact that this exists here as well, Canada, USA, Europe. And then, you think when you have strength in numbers, when you have big communities, that there's more support and there will be more awareness. Yet what we see is that they bring a lot of the prejudices and perpetuate our cultural vices here as well. And so this film is definitely very, very relatable, and it's going to give articulation and voice to the men to recognize violence and abuse and to stop themselves and stop others. So thank you. That's amazing that you're very aware about what you're doing and how you're empowering people to uplift them. Now, I want to know, how was the writing process? Really, this is a nitty gritty. Like, did you write the film out, and did anybody help you with that? And what were the challenges really of structuring the film? Because it's as you said, it's a lot of footage and a lot of very, very moving stories and characters. How did you
yes,
contain it?
I did write a script. I am from a film school, so I was theoretically very careful about what I'm approaching. And also, this is my first film, so I didn't want to go wrong. So I started writing, and I used to have I was in constant touch with Srishti. She was in Scotland at that time, and I had structures in my head. So I started imagining myself walking with Srishti, because since I wasn't there walking with Srishti, so I started imagining myself, and that's how I started writing script. So I basically wrote down themes on what themes that I want to approach in terms of treatments. They were child marriages, they were marital rape, they were dowry. So all these conversations, we watch the film, you will come across these conversations, and how first we establish the cause in the script, and after that Srishti comes and talks about it. Srishti confronts, Srishti acknowledges, and that's exactly what I wanted, and that's how it was on the script. And I took me some like a month or so to write the script, and I narrated it to Srishti and Apurva, and I think that's how I was logged as a director. But yeah, I mean, definitely there was a script that helped.
Yeah, and what were the challenges? Like, I want to know how, when you killed your darlings, what is it that we didn't get to see in the film that you wish had stayed in the final cut, for example? Um,
Oh,
yeah.
I wanted all 300 women to come and speak. It was practically not possible because the film would have been some 300 hours. I wanted them. It was heartbreaking for me to shortlist from 300 interviews, because all those stories were disturbing, were powerful, were important, because they represent the real India. I mean, we can talk about women empowerment for hours. You and I and Apurva can talk about women empowerment for hours. But what we don't get to see and listen is the real stories of survival, the real stories of suffering. And that was my intention, and it was heartbreaking. I still remember that conversation between me, Apurva, and Monisha on what to take out and what to keep in, because everything was so important. 230 days, cutting it down to 90 minutes was the most difficult challenge in my life. So yeah, so all those 300 stories I want, and someday people will watch it.
Well, the thing about digital mediums and modern technology is that we can have the what got left out or things like that, and also on your website or building the movement. I think your film could definitely help the movement, and you could possibly in the future see about sharing some more of those stories. I suppose, Apurva, are you looking into that? Are you looking into creating a bigger model for this film? And what kind of support are you getting from, for example, the government and other agencies, NGOs, and so on?
So there are a lot of nonprofits that were part of the on-ground journey, the physical journey that Shrishti had embarked on anyway. National Commission for Women came together, the Indian government and the police departments from every state came together. But now, we have a lot of footage. We have very compelling stories. A very major reason of selecting the three women was also because they represented the largest spectrum of issues that women are facing. But like Ajitesh said, there were just very heartbreaking stories that we had to leave out. So I'm definitely going to be creating more digital assets in terms of bringing and building platform for women by women, which is a larger plan. To share these stories of survival, because it's very inspiring, how digital literacy and financial literacy are the two key reasons why women are able to break their shackles and the vicious cycle that they're going through. Those are the two ways to empower them. And we felt like the more people can see or hear or listen to stories of survival, the more they will be motivated to pivot from their situations as well. So there are digital assets that we'll build over the next few years, and we're tracking Shrishti's and Jay Bharti, who's another woman who Shrishti met on the walk, and they started Mobo. She's a biker. She just bikes across the country like Shrishti walks across the country. So they both their stories are being tracked now as we speak. So a lot of Shrishti's conversations from Crossbow and 2017 will be continued to be heard through this digital medium that I'm putting together. So yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, Purva. You're such a mover and shaker. I want to ask you something more personal now. A story like this, a film like this, it's very hard for me to watch, for brown people to watch. Let's be really honest. For Desis, do you think it's going to move non-people of color in the same way, or, for example, festival programmers who are not people of color, or how do you think it's going to be? How is this film being embraced by people who are not, for example, from our culture? Do you think they're able to feel the first of all the pain of the subjects and the struggle of the subjects, and secondly the struggle of the filmmakers who are trying to represent in an authentic way our struggles?
I can tell you that from Christian to Cameron to everybody has really deeply appreciated the film. It's just we also got it ready at the time of the pandemic, and so selection strategy and everything was really, really slow. But I have only received long emails about how the film has moved, at least the programmers across the world. And like I said, we've done screenings across Europe and America now, and the reaction has been more deeply felt. Like I said, this particular audience is not desensitized. They are more sensitive to the violence. It's been a difficult watch. I've also seen people walk away, come back. That was very reassuring, that they just did not walk away feeling that it was very overwhelming, but they would come back and say we just needed a break because it was really, really hard hitting. So those are the kind of reactions that are coming, and the reason why I said uh, what's so different is that everybody who has watched the film has found a story that is very close to home, and that why this film hits home is because some form of violence has been perpetuated against their own loved ones, closer to them in and across the world. So there was really race was not something that they did not think it's an India only problem. It is something that is perpetuated worldwide. So yeah.
So I'm really, really happy to hear that. Absolutely. And I think that the way that the film is structured and the way that your subjects are so intriguing and so compelling, that it just brings you into that world, and you really, as difficult as the subject matter is, the film is empowering, it's enriching, and it's hopeful. So I really commend you on making this wonderful film, and I really wish it a lot of success. And I think our Misaff audiences are also going to really, really love the film. Any last few words you would like to say to our Misaff audiences or people watching the film?
Ajitesh, you want to go first?
Yeah, I would say believe in the power of cinema. I want to tell this to all storytellers out there that we have that power to change the society. Speak up, fight. There are problems around us, but we need to keep fighting. And we have a powerful medium, which is film. Yes, we'll change the world to a better place one day.
I would just say thank you to the audience and thank you to you for continuing to do such incredible work. Filmmakers only thrive because of curators who bring us, who bring our effort to light. And you've been such a big champion, Arshad. And Misaff is home to me, so I can't even believe that we're not being able to meet in person. But hopefully next year, I will make a special trip. With or without a film, but to see you all. And so
that would be wonderful.
Thank you so much for inviting the film and providing it such a prestigious platform. So it's very heartful and deeply, I know that the whole crew really is very excited about our screenings on the platform. So please let us know how it goes. And and thank you for hosting this Q&A as well. It's always so lovely to meet you.
We really need to see you on our red carpet soon.
Very soon.
And Ajitesh and Apurva, thank you so much for your time. You're absolutely wonderful filmmakers. Wish you really the best of luck and a lot of success. And we're here for you. Welcome to the Mosaic family. I want to say thanks to all our filmmakers and our sponsors. The festival runs online from the 1st to the 5th of December across Canada. Please join us and spread the word on your social media using the hashtag Misaff21 and the handle at @Mosaic_Misaff. And thank you for supporting independent cinema. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Lots of love to you and lots of success.
Thank you. Bye.